allegation that Kyle forged documents was proven with a Discover subpoena on Monday. That was 6 days ago. Then Nate the lawyer came forward with a bombshell. Ruhif admitted that the bombshell is true. Ruhif tried to downplay it, though. The bombshell is that in June, one of Kyle's friends approached Nate and told him, basically, that Kyle lived with his mother the whole time. Now, logically speaking, the documents must have been forged if he wasn't living with Potts. The person that approached Nate, the lawyer, was, quote, very close to Kyle, quote, reputable, and, quote, had nothing to lose or gain by coming forward. This was revealed as an ethical issue. It is what made them come forward. Nate also felt it was an ethical issue. This changes the whole story on both sides. This shows why Ruhif claimed to have secret evidence against Kyle in the video where Ruhif debated Agrippa, which was on August 16th of 2020. It also shows us why Ruhif and Steve were trying to bet money against anyone in the community. After Kyle was exposed, they tried to frame anyone that didn't support them as blindly supporting Kyle, while at the same time claiming they showed absolute evidence that Kyle forged. In their mind, this exposed their criticizers. In reality, now that the truth is out, it proves that they purposely allowed the community to believe Kyle's documents were correct. If they would have shared this fact back in June, people would have had a very good reason to question Kyle and treat his claims with scrutiny going forward. Without this knowledge, the community could only weigh Kyle's papers against the punishment Kyle would get for being busted forging. So how severe of a punishment could Kyle face for forging? From a general search, the punishment is 1 to 5 years per offense. From a knowledge source, it is a Class F felony with a punishment of 10 to 41 months per count, assuming no prior record. Kyle had a prior record of 2 felonies that I know of, and if charged, faces a lot of time behind bars, if convicted, of course. Now, both sides believed his documents to be valid due to this, and only did the other side start questioning them once this person approached them. This information needed to be shared. It wasn't. To add to things, I will briefly describe 3 things Steve showed us. He was claiming these things proved Kyle was guilty are non-conclusive. This is important. Point 1, Steve used a document editor to remove the redaction box Kyle put in his bank record, then showed the code of the file of the bank record. Steve claimed that a certain tag in this file called touchup_textedit proved that Kyle forged. The community was very vocal that they didn't believe this for a few reasons. Reason number 1, that same tag, touchup_textedit, appeared over 100 times in the documents. 2, it appeared in many places that Kyle would have never forged for any reason. 3, other people had custody of the document and they weren't showing an original source of the document to compare the file that they had to. Note, Discover itself could have been responsible for adding the touch-ups to the PDF when it was created, when information was added to the document. And also, the court itself could have added some of the touch-ups when they processed a document. And it is very likely that's where extra 100 touchup_text edits came from, if this is indicative of forging at all. Because the community did not find this conclusive, and instead of pursuing Discover to prove Kyle did this, they did point 2. Steve released screenshots of Kyle's Amazon account. He claimed they were obtained illegally through an employee using their employee login to access this data and screenshotting it to share it to Steve. Of course, the community didn't believe this because of several reasons. 1, the screenshots could have been fake. They were taken with a cell phone pointing at a computer screen. This was done to prevent anyone from running any kind of layer detection, metadata analysis, or any other method of verification. 2, the story didn't add up. Why would Amazon employee risk their job for this? And 3, also Amazon responded after Steve did this, telling the community that the screen shown was not an employee login and therefore must have been fake or misrepresented at the least. Now, the third thing, Steve on Red's channel showed subpoenaed Zelle records. Zelle is a payment processor. The data was sensitive and shouldn't have been shown. These documents ended up being sealed even when they showed them, and we proved that afterwards too. So if these documents weren't fake, then they committed a crime on that stream. The covering letter stated that they had no transactions to give them in the response. And again, the last page stated that this was, quote, sensitive data, and that's why it was sealed. Though, to find out if Kyle forged, we went ahead and processed the data from their screen. There were incomplete payment IDs. Some were missing the last character, some were missing other things. And a payment to Potts had the wrong payment ID altogether and was in the wrong column in the document. Specifically, the payment ID to Potts had the wrong bank listed inside the ID. This is not possible. Either the documents were fake, or some of those Zelle documents were fake, or something was added or taken away for some reason. Either way, this casts too much doubt to be trusted to damn Kyle or even consider it. All of the Zelle data, the whole subpoena, had too many reasons that it was fake, and it makes sense because if this was forged or fake data, then it explains why it never crossed their mind that showing it was against the terms of service for YouTube and against the law. Again, if they got in trouble, they could say, hey, it's fake. If they didn't get in trouble, they could just keep claiming it's real. Though it is possible Zelle sent them this information with all of these errors, it is borderline impossible, though. Taking into account these three things, at any time they could have responded to these problems. These problems were not the result of a single YouTuber. These were the result of the entire community giving their voice in response. Anyone that wanted to convince the community that Kyle forged would have gone through the responses and made a logical and evidenced rebuttal. It's pretty obvious why they didn't. From the very start of the Kyle forged narrative, which, yes, turned out to be true in the end, allegedly until the judge rules, but from the start, I started any talk about this with a point. Periscope, rockAlot streams. I said that they could just subpoena Discover and compare the response to the document that Kyle submitted to the courts months before. And therefore, all those three things, all that were put out with the utmost fake acting, yelling, and screaming to convince us all, those three things were unnecessary for anything more than views and clicks and donations. Because in the end, as I stated the entire time with the rest of the community, Discover getting back to them would prove it either way. This person that came forward to them, to Nate, told them that Kyle was lying about living at Potts, and therefore logically the paperwork must be fake. Why would they ever withhold that from us? Unless they wanted to set us up, to make fun of us and criticize us and claim we never believed them. I believe the most important thing in all of this was not the court case or the channel in the end. We have tweets that read, and I quote say, I don't even care about the channel. I'm out for Kyle's blood. This tells it all, and it explains why they withheld the information they had to question Kyle's documents. The thing they didn't consider was that by them withholding what they knew, they were also doing what Kyle was doing to the community, setting us up for failure, trying to use us. If Ruhif would have told us, then we would have had the word of this alleged reputable real-life friend of Kyle's. And when Kyle asked for GoFundMes to be shared, instead of us having nothing to compare Kyle's documents and claims to, we would have had at least that in our mind. In fact, the time frame that this person came forward was the same month and general time as the GoFundMe that Kyle started. It seems to be the thing that compelled the person to come out when they did, so that people wouldn't give money if Kyle was lying. After Steve convicted Kyle on Twitter, he started demanding apologies, but I'm not giving it to him. If he would have given us the most important information to why Kyle forged early on when he got it, I would have considered apologizing to him, but most likely would not even do it then because Steve believed Kyle's papers before this person approached him, just like we all did. In the end, I think that Kyle and Steve are one and the same, and it's why they worked so well together. It's why so much money is funded around the old non-sec crew in fundraisers. And if you didn't know, at this point, just a few of their friends have raised over $170,000. That we know of in a period of just years, with that money always going to this same group. And it explains a bit of why Steve and even Kyle both liked this fight that they have been fighting for so long. Kyle lied to us. He knew that most likely he would be caught before the end, and thus he knew that the money he raised was a waste. On top of that, he kept 900 of it for himself, so there's no excuse. Steve also purposely caused the problems that he faces with his own actions and choices. But every time he funds a defense, whether it's a YouTube community thing or a lawsuit, when he's mad at Katie, when he's mad at Kyle, when he's mad at someone else, when Katie strikes Leslie, Christmas fraudulent fundraiser, it was Steve and Ruhif's hatred of Kyle and the people that supported him that made them keep the information from us. Them keeping that information from us was a major reason Kyle got so much support. And after everything, unless the judge takes Kyle off of the business, we can all hope that the judge just gives Steb what he asked for in the beginning. It's in the original affidavit and default ruling. Steb didn't win the channel. He won 50-50 with Kyle. And it would be the ultimate punishment if that is what the judge gives him. But knowing how this case goes, most likely he'll just give him it all. Somehow he'll pull Kyle off the business and just give it up. Even though in other situations it's kind of rare for someone to lose their business when they commit a crime, like what Kyle's done here.